Hello everyone and welcome back to Crypto Atlas. Unless you guys are new to the channel, then well, very nice to meet you guys. Hopefully you have a good time. Feel free to join the community if you would like. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin, Orchid, as well as Synthetix Network Token. That's a mouthful for me to try and say that. Also known as SNX. We're going to look at the chart here, and that is absolutely crazy right there. We are currently on the new daily position. It is 5:01 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, my time zone. It is a little bit over 1 hour into the new daily candle formation, and we're seeing some really good positive gains as of the moment. Having just tapped above $24,000, we're seeing a little bit of a retracement taking place. But we're going to cover the news going on with Bitcoin, also looking at what happened with SNX. Like, what the heck, man? It just shot up. Look at this. What caused that to happen? Well, we might actually have a good answer for you guys on that, so don't go anywhere. And if you guys haven't yet, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the thumbs up like button. We are trying to get to at least 100 likes on this video. It would be absolutely amazing. Definitely helps us out, guys. And be sure to click the bell icon so you know whenever there's a new video. With that being said, let's go into the news. 5 crucial Bitcoin predictions for 2021 from a fintech expert. This is some of their perspective views on this. Just kind of highlighting these elements. So number 1, they're saying more mainstream acceptance. When you got things like PayPal that came out, more people are now able to access and purchase Bitcoin. You also look at things like Square and their Cash App. So there's more and more industry spaces, and there's probably going to be even more that open up in the next year. But now that people have the ability to access it, people will start to look and they'll find out, oh, I can actually do this. I didn't know I could do this. Yeah, why not? I'll do a little bit, and then, whoa, look. Or maybe they'll be like, oh my God, I just lost so much money, or it went down, or whatever. I don't know. You know, things are kind of unpredictable, but there is a higher likelihood, obviously, that Bitcoin is going to be going up, given the cycle, given the amount of adoption that's going on, the hype that's going on. People are doing FOMO. It's a very interesting time. Number 2 is competition from big tech. So you look at other companies like, for example, Facebook. Facebook is doing their whole Libra thing. Them coming out with their own cryptocurrencies is going to lead to more competition potentially against Bitcoin, because obviously some people that are spending money on the Libra, or whatever they want to call it now, I think it has some other name now, Diem, here we go, Facebook's Diem. They just completely renamed the whole thing. If they're going to try and compete against something like Bitcoin, obviously money that's not going into Bitcoin that's going into Diem is money that's not in Bitcoin, right? So it's a competitor that will affect it. Competition from central banks, and you got other places like over in China. China's making the digital yuan, and the United States Federal Reserve has talked about trying to make a digital dollar. They're still trying to push in that direction, but China's already going off, moving forward and leading this pathway with this. A new regulatory playing field. Well, we got a new presidential elect that's come into the position here. Excuse me, Joe Biden. And his administration is Democratic. They might potentially have a different approach and point of view on something like cryptocurrency than what we saw previously. So that could change some elements to it, but you know, I wouldn't really weigh in that too much. Continued volatility, because we are still in like a wild west of cryptocurrency with everything. It's only 11 years going on 12 years next year, right? There's a very good chance that we're going to see 15% to 40% corrections, potentially even bigger, depending on the circumstances. We might see like a 60% correction, because this is what's happened with crypto before. But a lot of things are starting to change now from where they were before, so do keep that in mind too. Bitcoin, controlled by China. This is what Ripple is telling the SEC in face of an imminent lawsuit. This is going to affect XRP. Ripple Labs Inc. claimed if the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission deems its token to be an investment contract, the regulator would cede innovation in cryptocurrency to China, which controls Bitcoin and Ethereum. So what happened? The Bitcoin and Ethereum blockchains are highly susceptible to Chinese control because both are subject to simple majority rule, whereas the XRPL prevents comparable centralization. This is said by Ripple, the company behind the XRP token, in a Wells notice to the SEC. Ethereum founder Vitalik Buterin came down heavily on Ripple and said the company was sinking to new levels of strangeness. Now look at this tweet that he sent out right here. Looks like the Ripple XRP team is sinking to new levels of strangeness. They're claiming that their crap coin should not be called a security for public policy reasons, namely because Bitcoin and Ethereum are Chinese controlled. There was another statement that he had said online. I don't know if he ended up deleting it or not, but yeah, he was really bashing on them. I mean, he's bashing on them a bit right here too. Maybe I'm wrong and there was no other tweet. I can't remember if this is the one that they were talking about. Yeah, this actually might be the one because somebody replied down there. I don't know. Anyways, so the fintech firm has vowed to defend itself against a yet-to-be filed lawsuit from the SEC against its CEO Brad Garlinghouse and co-founder Chris Larson in federal court. The lawsuit is centered on whether XRP is a security that should be registered with the regulator or not. The regulator. What the heck did I just say before that? Regulator? The regulator. Jeez. Okay. Moving on. Heading over to Forbes magazine. Check this out. Why this former billionaire and Goldman Sachs veteran now sees Bitcoin hitting $50,000 in 2021. So if you guys are familiar with people in the crypto space, you probably have heard the name Novogratz before. Well, this is Novogratz and some new statements, and I think he's actually got some very interesting points. It is easy for me to see Bitcoin being at $50,000 next year, Novogratz told Raoul Pal, the chief executive of financial research and media company Real Vision, in an interview last week, explaining that is 10% of gold, right? When you look at the market cap evaluation, $50,000 is approximately 10%. I know once we get to 10% of gold, we are like, why is it only 10% gold? Novogratz asked, why is it not 25% of gold? And this is what I think is such a valid point, is like, for when people were saying that Bitcoin hit $1, it's like, well, why is it only $1? It could potentially hit $10, and then it hits $10. Like, well, it hit $1 and it hit $10. Why can't it hit $100? And so you start speculating higher and higher values. This is just a psychological element of people, right? So why is it not 25% of gold? Then it's going to eclipse gold at one point. These things happen faster when you are getting these network effects, added Novogratz, a former Goldman Sachs veteran who began cryptocurrency investing in 2013 and left Fortress Investment Group in 2015 to focus on Bitcoin and crypto. Moving on, CleanSpark announces additional 1,000 unit ASIC Bitcoin miner order for January delivery. I think this is really bullish and good news because the whole idea of Bitcoin being decentralized kind of falls to the wayside when you think about the fact that a lot of the miners, most of them, are coming out of China. You have the whole world that can participate in this, but most of it's coming out of China, about 60%. That's way too much control for one country when you're trying to create this idea of decentralization, right? So this is actually a Salt Lake company, an advanced software and controls technology solutions company called CleanSpark, focused on solving modern energy challenges, is pleased to announce that it has secured an additional 1,000 ASICs, application-specific integrated circuit, Bitcoin miners, slated for delivery and commissioning in the coming month. This order, when paired with the 500 ASICs announced last week and installations of the new S19s, is expected to increase the company's mining capacity by more than 100 PHs to approximately 300 PHs. I don't know what PH is. It's pentahash, I think is what it is. Things are getting so high. CleanSpark's Bitcoin mining capacity to increase more than 33%. So that means more over the United States from the mining perspective side, instead of it just being so dominant in China. This helps. It's a progressive move forward, in my opinion. Now, let's go talk about what's going on with SNX, aka the Snythetix Network Token, right? So DeFi protocol, I'm looking at it right now. Jeez, I just looked at my phone and I had the name right in front of me. DeFi protocol Synthetix launches new staking platform. So Synthetix token DeFi protocol Synthetix has just launched a new platform with a range of staking and earning options for users. The decentralized finance protocol stated that the new interface has been rethought from the ground up to provide the best staking experience for holders of its native SNX token. The new staking D-app aligns with the rebrand that occurred earlier in the year it added. So they said on Twitter, say hello to the brand new D-app for staking on Synthetix. I was going into my Al Pacino mode there for a second. The new interface has been rethought from the ground up to provide the best staking experience for SNX holders. There's more information off of their tweet. So staking on Synthetix. The platform has bundled the minting and burning processes into a single staking screen, as it's rare that stakers will need to do them both at the same time, the announcement added. There's also a new earn section, just like on Binance, which offers several different ways to earn yield in the Synthetix ecosystem. There's also information available on what impact minting or burning tokens will make on current statuses, in addition to a percentage-based APY estimate for upcoming rewards at the end of the epoch. When asked about layer 2 scaling options, one of the engineers replied, coming soon. All right, so this mechanism provides an alternative to iSynth for users seeking inverse price exposure. While these positions require collateral, they return the SUSD proceeds of the sale to the shorter, which can then be deployed productively throughout DeFi. It says that it's currently the 7th largest DeFi protocol in terms of total value, locked according to DeFi Pulse. That TVL level is currently $960 million, placing it just behind SushiSwap, which has over $1 billion locked. All right, now let's go ahead and go take a look at the charts, guys. We'll head up with Bitcoin first, then go into Orchid, and then finish up with Synthetix. Snythetix Network Token. Jeez, try to say that 10 times. And then try to say it 10 times backwards. Once again, if you guys are new to the channel and you are enjoying yourselves, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button. I'm trying to get to 100 likes, guys. Every like helps us out. And click the bell icon. Let us know what you're thinking about these things in the comments. Looking at Bitcoin right here on the new daily formation. We are currently in the green, once again pushing just underneath that $24,000 mark according to TradingView. And looking over on the other chart, I am seeing just a slight difference. It's saying $23,940, which I can show you guys that chart here in just a little bit. But let's go and focus on this for now. Yesterday was a very bullish day. All that had been lost over the 2 previous days, we actually had, look at this. This is absolutely crazy when you really look at it. There's the bottom, so the new daily candle formation, and it pushed all the way up, covered the ground that was lost from the previous day, and then all the way up, and almost filled to the T where the previous day on December 20th had started its position, right? Which was at 23,857. So everything that was lost over the last 2 days had just been gained back essentially in one day. And now we're in another positive zone. We're working our way up towards this key level of resistance, which is going to be at $24,892, just under $25,000. This is on the daily candle. Keep that in mind. So if people want it to hit $25,000, today might be the day. But a lot of people are also looking at this level of resistance. People are probably thinking that they want to cash out on it, kind of milk it out for another day or so. But I think it's very likely that by Christmas Eve, we could be seeing very well a $25,000 Bitcoin. It's very plausible, guys. Looking at this on the 4-hourly chart right here, you'd see what almost looks to be forming a cup and handle pattern. And you could even comparatively say that started to look like this was a cup and handle pattern right here. But we did have another drop that took place. If this decides that it wants to come down on the 4-hourly chart, we could potentially see an uptrend start to take place there. Also, in comparison to this, and I'm just looking at this on the chart as we're talking live, by the way. If this decides that it wants to come down here, it's a potential formation of a head and shoulders pattern, which is not good. That would actually be a bearish sign. Or comparatively, we're even seeing the possible formation of an inverse head and shoulder pattern, which is really bizarre when you think about it. So you got essentially the formation right here. And if it dips down a little bit more, in this kind of an instance, we would have the shoulder, the neckline. Here's the head, the tip of the point, and the drop down here. Retracement taking place around in this zone, and then a further correction would actually pull it up. And then in this kind of a scenario, sorry, I'm stumbling my words a little bit. It's kind of a scenario, if it was to have a breakout above in this position, then I would say there is the possibility of us seeing a move pushing us past $25,000 all the way up to around $27,500. Right around in that range. And then if you go along this line, you can actually see that the line is uptrending here. And by doing so with this, it's pushing it very close to $28,000, $27,765 potentially. A lot of people were expecting some sell-off to go on. January typically is an altcoin type season, but again, we are seeing something that is very bullish, and a lot of things are different than what it was before. So I am excited to see how this progresses and moves forward. The 21 EMA is still a key level of support. It could potentially have a bounce off of this, and if it decides that it wants to do so on that, that's at $23,200. A fairly substantial drop from where we're at. Oh, this is actually the 4 hours. Sorry about that. Looking at this on the daily, there we go. This is a little bit more identifiable. I thought it seemed kind of weird that it was so close. So the 21 EMA is actually $21,030. So essentially you're using a ground zone at $21,000. That's quite a substantial drop from where it's currently at. It is potential. We've seen these kinds of things take place. I think hitting this level of support first is something to be concerned about. The $21,700, more than likely there would be a bit of a bounce off take place there. If it decides it wants to have a further correction, then it would be at that $21,000 level. As it is right now, there's also a little bit of a formation of a trend pattern between these 2 points on December 18th and also December 22nd. That's right around the range of $22,390. So you can also take that into consideration. But right now, everything is looking more or less on the actual up and up. I'm looking at this on a very positive element perspective view. Looking at it even on the 15-minute chart there, you see that there's some high levels of volume taking place. The high levels are on the peaks positions on the sell-off side. So at a certain point, that is going to reverse. We saw some green action taking place here over on this point, but a lot of these are very high red candles. So we might see a repeated pattern of that once again, but typically you go so many times of in the red and then you go green, right? So we see some pretty big green candles taking place back here. And the fact that we're starting to rally up, potentially trying to hit that 25K range, on a 15-minute chart, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some nice little bump ups. Boom, pushing up on those green positions, right? And you can even see that as this rally started up, it was because of these big green positions. And there was still some large red candles, that took place inside this zone, really trying to combat it, but it still was overtaken by the green and moving up higher. So yeah, let's go ahead and look at the next cryptocurrency. Looking over at Orchid right now. Orchid, I was talking about this yesterday, and I was saying that the chart trend may have switched itself over because there were these high spikes that took place that broke the formation of the pattern before. And so because of that, I was like, yesterday was looking to be a definitive day at that apex where it met at these 2 points that coincided for that symmetrical triangle. That was actually pushed over back here. And so it had to make a decision at that point. But I looked at it and I was like, you know what, guys, there is another potential. And the potential is that if we move these up to account for these high level wicks that have now formed, right, that creates a new chart trend. And by doing so with this, you can actually see that yesterday it had closed out and barely made any movement. It's still in this long consolidated space, which is, it's absolutely bizarre that it's doing this. I've never seen a wick shoot up so high like this and come back down. It's absolutely bizarre. And then looking at what happened with Synthetix, which we'll talk more about in a second, you take into account its price point and then with where it hit and came back down, that's even more bizarre. But I think that might have been due to some kind of a slippage element. You guys can tell me if you have any theories that are different on it. But anyways, looking at Orchid right here, we do see that there is a daily closure still below the 21 EMA. We are looking at this on the daily candle formation. It's still a bearish pattern. It's still suggesting signs of a further drop down until something needs to largely indicate that it's going to make a reversal. And it's in the sideways trend pattern right now, right? So either we're in a symmetrical triangle or we're in a channel that just isn't making any definitive positions. So it's very much like it could go either way, but on the other side, you do have the fact that it's below the 21 EMA, and that's the really big indicator suggesting either way, one way or another, of what it's doing, right? So there is a chance that we could see this have a further drop down. Looking at the level of support here, this is stabilized right around 25 cents, 0.2496. It could potentially drop down and hit that and then bounce back off. If it drops below that, this consolidated zone that we've been seeing right around 0.2432, so a little bit over 24 cents in that range, we could also see a bounce off of that, further correction down. then is going to be right around the range of what looks to be, I would be most concerned right around this level, honestly, at a little more than 21 cents, 0.2168 for a very deep bottom position. Anything further below that, we're starting to drag to the bottom of the barrel here for that Fibonacci retracement ever since the $1 range. And you got the introduction now into Hubie, and you've also got the idea of staking that's going on with Hubie. There's speculation that because you can stake Orchid on there, that you should be able to pretty soon, more than likely, stake Orchid on other exchanges too, and have other means to be able to do that. So it's nice to see it going through these phases, and it's making steps, and I feel like it's kind of testing the waters, and it's progressively moving at its own pace, and it's going to catch people off guard at the most random time, you know. And I think that I think personally, this is just my opinion, okay? I'm not a financial advisor, guys, so just again, a little side note with that. But I think what could very well happen is that this is going to start blowing up, and people are going to be thinking that it's another pump and dump situation. And this thing is just going to keep going up, and it's going to keep going up, and it's going to keep going up. And people are going to be like, whoa, this thing is way overvalued. You know, have some retracement back, and then it's going to keep going up. And then we're going to see numbers that a lot of people didn't think was possible for this whatsoever. And then all the people that have been talking crap, they're going to start to be quiet, and they're going to start going away. And then other people are going to be looking at it and saying, you know what? This thing actually approached it really well. Look at how they did everything. They came out with this little bit here, and then they came out with another release, and they kept progressively moving things forward instead of just dumping everything all at once and waiting to see and react what happens, right? And like, well, it is what it is. So I think that is a potential that is very likely. We'll have to see, though. I'm hoping that it goes up, obviously, because I own Orchid, and I put a good amount into this. This is my highest altcoin as of my own investment. Looking at the charts, though, guys, it is looking a bit bearish. So I would like it to go up, but it's looking bearish. If it goes up, we do have the 21 EMA, which is at 26 cents, 0.2659. It needs to break above that. Then we need to get out of this consolidated zone, which is looking like it's still around the 27 cent range, 0.2756. Above that then is going to be this level of resistance, and that is at 0.2824 cents. And then even further up, let's get out of this consolidated zone, or we can even hit into the range for the 0.382 and the Fibonacci retracement. That's a little over 30 cents. Then you got another range at over 32 cents. And as you guys can see, so psychologically, if we get into the 30-cent range and stabilize and hold there, then we're going to feel more confident about more movement up. But as we've been seeing, it tries to go into the 30-cent range, and then it just decides that it wants to immediately pull back down. For whatever reason, lots of people will keep pumping and dumping this thing. It might be bots, maybe because it's shown it's happened so much, more people are relying on it as their bot system, and that could be what's affecting a lot of stuff. But as soon as some things get thrown into the equation that are wrenches, those pump and dumps, I highly expect that they're going to stop. That's my personal opinion. This new formation could lead all the way up to December 30th, right up into the new year. We'll have to see. This is such a high irregular spike up on this wick that I really don't want to have to rely on that to say that this is going to keep being consolidated out during that whole period. But I guess hypothetically it is possible, and if it did decide that it wanted to do that, we would be looking at a point, looks like probably right around, roughly around January 21st, so like towards the end of January. I don't think that's likely to happen. That's a lot of consolidation going in that space, but you never know. We'll have to see. Let's go ahead and move on to the next coin. Now, looking at SNX, Synthetix Network Token. All right. Well, doesn't this look weird? Look at this, guys. It was at $7.19 yesterday when it closed. It's at $7 right now. When it started yesterday, it was at $6.11. It went from $6.11 all the way up to $13 and then retraced all the way back down. So it doubled its entire value over the course of the day. And we're not talking about like a 1 cent to 2 cent move or a 10 cent to 20 cent move. We're talking about multiple dollars worth of value here. And so this is quite a substantial move. In fact, let me go ahead and look at CoinMarketCap. I wanted to see how much total circulating supply that they have. Synthetix. I don't know why you can't look up SNX and it shows it. It seems kind of wacky. So looking at this, circulating supply is 110 million. Total supply is 211 million. So it is actually a bit easier, to be honest with you guys, for it to move up in the dollar values because of the fact that it doesn't have a whole bunch of circulating supply or even total supply in comparison to a lot of the other cryptocurrencies. Like, for example, Orchid or Chainlink, they're both about 400 to 500 million in total circulating supply. Sorry, not in total, in circulating supply. In total supply, they're at a billion for when their full potential is met. So this, by comparison, is about 4 times less. So yes, it can actually move up substantially in the dollar value by comparison more easily. You guys can see the amount of volume that took place with this. This is more than likely reflective of that staking news that came out, as I mentioned in the article earlier, and then people ending up taking their profits with this. But there is something that's really fishy, and this is in reference to Coinbase, and I want to talk about this for a second. If you guys take a look at this massive green candle that took place, right? We're looking at this on the daily. Well, let's go swap over to the 4-hourly. Whoa, look at that. Looks like a massive pump and dump situation, right? There's probably a lot of stuff that took place during those 8 hours, you're probably thinking. Well, maybe not, because if we swap now over to the 1 hour, you can see that these 1 hour candles has taken that 8 hours discrepancy and dropped it down to a 2 hour difference. But wait, it gets even more interesting because now we swap it over to the 15-minute, and you can see that pretty much all of that action had taken place between two 15-minute candles. Let's go ahead and drop it down even further. 5-minute candles. Now here you can see that there's once again a massive rally that took place up, and the next 5 minutes down, almost a full retracement, a little bit of action back, further down correction, almost bringing it right back down to the previous level. So, I mean, even I haven't looked at the 1 minute chart yet, but let's go take a look at this. Yeah, on the 1 minute chart, you can see there's about 3 minutes that took place, and then 1 minute immediately afterwards that it dropped everything. So unless you got really lucky, you missed out on that opportunity there. Actually, I'd say about 4 minutes up and then 1 minute big drop down, and that was at $8.58. You could have sold it off at the $13 mark if you had been there within that 4 minute time frame and been able to make a pretty decent amount of profit. So maybe there's a lot of people that had sell walls, and that's what took place with that. But wow, that was in such a short amount of time that if you want to talk about a pump and dump situation, that was a serious, super fast pump and dump situation. I mean, with Orchid, you might see a day candle pull all the way up, and the next day then it drops down. You might see 45 minutes or an hour take place, and then it starts to drop down. But for like 4 minutes to come in for something this dramatic and then just immediately drop down is so irregular just in the general market space for cryptocurrency like this. So I'm absolutely dumbfounded by something like that. You guys let me know if you have any theories of what you think could have happened with that. But looking at this, if it decides that it wants to have a further retracement back, guys, this zone they had for these previous days was setting it right around the range of $6.12. So I would say that could be a potential bottom before it decides it wants to make a further continuation back up. $6.41 is the top of these candle wicks, but the most closest position right now is $6.68. So essentially we're working down from this point, right? $6.98 right now could go down to $6.65, could go then down to $6.40, and then potentially right around $5.70. This looks like it's the most stable form, as we actually have a lot of representations forming all across the spectrum right here. The top of this position, top right here, and then near the bottom of this candle, and then bottom of those three. So a lot of those positions right there. This is definitely a very key level of support, is the $5.64 level. And I guess it has to try and break above this previous level at $13.21. Okay, that's going to go ahead and do it for this episode, guys. If you're new to the channel, once again, please don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the thumbs up like button. Let's try to get to 100 likes, guys. Every single like helps us out a ton. It takes you almost no time to do so. People aren't going to look at you weird if you hit the thumbs up button on this. I doubt anyone even pays attention to it. And you guys are absolutely awesome. I appreciate everyone being a part of this community. I'm so happy with the growth that we've been having, and hopefully we continue to grow together. We continue to share information. If you have anything that I didn't say in the comments down below and you want people to be aware of, make sure you leave it down there. And I encourage you guys that are watching to just take a quick glance just to see if there is something there. And also, if you guys can, click the bell icon so you get alerted whenever there's a new video on time. You guys are awesome. Thank you all so much for being here, and I will see you in the next episode.